All right, thanks for the warm welcome. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. You can be a bit more louder, right? Good morning. Good morning. Oh, it's good afternoon? No, still it's good morning. So I will take 30 minutes of your time from now on to discuss about few things on Angular and how you can build innovative applications on cloud. When I say cloud, since I am from Microsoft, I will be talking much about Azure. All right? Before that, I would like to give a brief talk about Nepal. I love this country. Yesterday when I was arrived, people here are very friendly and the hospitality I get here is amazing. So I would like to visit Nepal often from here on, and I would like to see the community again and again. Thanks for the opportunity, Alok and Dhananjay. Thank you very much. So let's dive into the session. So before that, I would like to market myself for 1 minute, right? So I am a Microsoft Cloud Solution Architect. I recently joined Microsoft. Also, I was a full stack developer before. So I was working with AngularJS and Angular for around 8 years. These days, I don't get time much to code, but I am still involved in coding. Apart from that, I run these communities in Sri Lanka, and also you can access me from these links. So you will be getting access to the slides. And these are the recognitions as he mentioned earlier. Apart from that, I am a community member in OpenFast. If you are talking about open source, you can be a part of that community and you will get a lot of swags. All right? Okay, before I talk about this particular topic, let's play a game. I want 2 volunteers to come forward. Let's play a game. You will get some cool swag. I have one with me. Yeah, come forward. And one girl, probably, yes. This is the spirit I see in Nepal, right? Here. So if you see, I have this particular game, which is going to demonstrate today. So you can you all can access through this particular link if you want to play this game. I have a beautiful background of Nepal here. So what this game does is, you will be seeing the camera and there will be some emojis which are falling from the top. You have to act accordingly to the emojis. If the emotion is anger, then you have to show anger. And if the emotion is surprise, then you have to show surprise. So let's play the first round. I will refresh it. So at the end of the game, we will compare these 2 scores and we will see who are the winners. So we have to act. Yeah. What is falling? No. Oh, I will duplicate it. He is not able to see, so I will duplicate the screen for now. Sorry. Still. Yeah, now you can see, right? So this is the camera, and there will be, yeah, your chance. So there should be score. I don't see it now.
2 by 5.
No, the score is
3 by 5, yeah.
Yeah. So he scored 48 at the end of 3 rounds. Oh, 100 for that, yeah. That exactly matches. The last round. Smile. All right, you have scored 246 at the end of 5 rounds. Remember your score. Let's go to the second round. You can go. Yeah. 246. Probably the demo is not working. Yeah. You didn't score anything? Surprise. Oh, Still 0? Probably the demo is not working. Okay. Yeah? All right. I think there should be a issue. Bug, typical developer, right? So I will give you another chance in local, so you can try. Yes. Oops. Angry. I know you're angry. Your score. Again angry. Oops. You are not getting. Okay, probably we can stop here. So he will be the winner because he has acted, yeah. Since we are running out, so you have a, you have something, and you will get this swag.
Wow. Thank you.
And you have some stickers, yeah. Thanks for that enthusiasm. I tried the same game in Sri Lanka and I couldn't any response. Both the scores were 0 because we don't emote much. Let me switch back to the extended mode. I hope you enjoyed the game. Now let's go to the actual context. So when I was a developer back in 10 years before, I hope most of you guys are developers here, right? Raise your hand if you are not a developer. Yeah? There is one. So we must have gone through all these words, or we have faced these issues when we were developer, and we have gone through so much stress. We have gone through so much troubles with the project managers, with your CTOs, and so on. So the actual problem lies in us, not with the project managers. So what we used to do when I was a developer, and back in before 10 years, there was an application I had to develop for a telecommunication, which is based on AngularJS. So there was a requirement, and I had to deploy within the same day. So I deployed 47 times. Imagine 47 times. And it took 3 days to complete the feature. I had to face all the CTOs, CIOs, and the client side, and I had to resign the job, unfortunately or fortunately. So that's the effect of not following the practices when you are developing any application, and Angular as well. So we will talk about what are the best practices and how can you automate your application and deploy to the cloud. How many of your solutions are cloud? Like how many of your the applications that you build are on cloud? Just raise your hand if it's on cloud. So others mostly are on-prem. I think after this session, you should convince your CTOs or the management team to move your solution to cloud moving forward. We will see why it is so important. So these are the top 3 lies when I was a developer. I hope most of you are doing the same thing. It works on my machine, yes. We have not changed anything. This is the argument that I have with my QA member always. And you are testing it wrong. And we are almost right all the times, right? So how we can avoid these conversations with your QA team as well as the team that you are engaging with, operations team and so on. So these are the common mistakes we are doing with Angular. When you take about an application, we are we need to find what are the common dependencies. Say if it's a common module, you have to identify what are the common features that you are going to repeat in your application, and then not leveraging the tooling. How many of you know CDK, which Angular announced last year? Are you using it? How many of you use Angular CLI? If you are an Angular developer, you should definitely use it. So there are tools that were given by the team to make your code clean and structure your application well, right? Don't forget to use any of the tools that is given by the team. Finding effective naming conventions. This is one of the important things that we tend to fail as a developer. Even with Angular, so I used to write comments in native language, and sometimes I used to commit that to production. And when some other developer comes and try to understand, he doesn't. So try to use the naming convention properly as possible, sticking to the methodologies that is proposed by the style guide. That is very, very important. So you can always navigate to Angular style guide. So these are the small things that make your application faster and scalable. And repeat ourselves a lot. So we used to copy the component and create another component. Don't do that. So you need to identify the components which are repeatable and make use of that often. So these are the most common practices that we need to understand. So I talked about developer mistakes. So what business expects in terms of CIOs and managements. So earlier those days we focused planning. So when I was a developer, we used to run 2 days, at least 1 week planning for a feature. That doesn't happen anymore. As Stephen mentioned in the morning, it's about building innovative application, fast application, and how fast you can build application and empower other developers to the cloud, other developers to see that application, and you can build that business. That's what all matters. So today we are going to talk about how you can create that game application within few minutes or within few seconds if you are a fantastic developer and deploy to the cloud. And if you want to innovate more on that by building more capabilities, you can build with a single click and you can automate that process. We will see the demo. So these are the things that new world is approaching. As a developer, you tend to follow these practices and move on. So I talked about this cloud, right? So when Angular and Azure meets, it's awesomeness. So when you look at it, Azure is running on, most of the Fortune 500 companies, around 90% of the Fortune 500 companies are running on Azure. If you have not known that, from this session you should get aware of that. And out of Fortune 500 companies, 90%, around 40% are running on Angular. So these companies, these are the big companies which are running on Angular. If you see BMW, Adobe, AirAsia, and Dell. These are some of the examples that I brought in, but there are a lot of companies running on Azure and Angular together. So if you are a developer running your solution on prem, you should move to cloud. It could be any cloud according to this session, but since I am from Microsoft, try to move to Microsoft Azure. So when I talk about Azure, we have around 600 services available, which does so many capabilities, starting from data and to implementation. When I say implementation, it's about DevOps. And you have so many storage services. Even I work at Microsoft, I don't know more than 100 services. So there are so many services available which you need time to analyze and learn about it. So this is how I developed back 8 years ago when I was an AngularJS developer. So I used to develop the application on my desktop and do a smoke testing. How many of you know smoke testing? You all are developers, right? Okay. So it's about testing the feature. So I just do the feature testing and then copy the DLL or the application to the IIS server or the FTP server, and then I pray it should work. Sometimes it doesn't. Again, I do the smoke testing on the server. That's what I was mentioning, about 47 times I did the same thing, right? Did it work? No. Again, I have to go and pray, again deploy. That's the process it happened before. But then again, if sometimes it works, but when you integrate feature, it doesn't work after you do another deployment. Again, I have to pray that it should work. If it doesn't, then I need to go and build it, test it again, and deploy. So this is one of the common mistakes that we do as a developer, and when it comes to Angular as well. So most of the times this happen. We deploy and then we revert. How many of you agree with this? So rest of the developers, you do it properly with the CICD? No? So you don't develop. I see two types of audience. One who follow this and others who don't follow. It's good. So this is the topic that I wanted to talk about today. So you don't have to go through all these struggles, right, when you are implementing CICD. Can someone explain what is CICD? At least what it stands for. Very good. So it's talk about continuous integration, how effectively you can deploy the new feature that you are building, how fast you can deploy it to the production. So that can be achieved through continuous integration and continuous deployment. So you stop worrying about it worked on my laptop but not on the production. And you stopped about dependencies. It worked with this dependency and it doesn't work with this. So the API dependencies, which we have common issues in general, and it works and so on. So these problems can be avoided using CI/CD pipelines. So what are the options? When I say it's especially for the cloud, but you can leverage it on-prem as well. So from AWS, we have the cloud code build. If you are an AWS user, you can use the code build, which is used for continuous integration and deployment. And when it comes to GCP, they have cloud build, which is again providing the capability. And on Azure, we have Azure DevOps. How many of you know Azure DevOps? Nice. So this session will be useful for you guys. For those who don't know. So I talked about Azure DevOps, right? So I'm going to build the demo using the Azure DevOps. I will not be focusing on cloud build and code build, but it's the same procedure that you will apply on both, on all the cloud platforms. So these are the steps that we are going to follow. So all the sessions that I do, I build a challenge. So this is the challenge that we have for today. So we will create an Angular application using one of the features that we build. It's a game. And then we'll create a DevOps pipeline, how we are going to build that application and deploy it to the cloud. And we'll do a code coverage. That is very important if you are any kind of developer and if you are in Angular. If you are not doing code coverage, unit test, you are not a developer. Start doing the code coverage from now on. And then add linting. Linting is another important thing when you are doing with Angular, because it can avoid a lot of production bugs, which I have come across earlier. And then end-to-end testing, yes, it definitely needed if you are building a lot of dependent capable features. So these are the steps that we will see how we can implement in your Angular application, right? Is it boring? Okay, get ready. If you have laptops, it will be good, but if you don't have, that's fine. I have included the steps. You can go home and access the repository and follow the steps I have mentioned in the slides as well. So this application that I demonstrated earlier, I have used these 3 services from Azure, but if you are on other cloud, you can make use of the parallel services and you do the same demo. So I am using app service on Azure, which is used to deploy your application on cloud. So they have so many app service plans which you can go and read about it. So I'm going to use a standard service plan, which is going to, we are going to deploy our application on the cloud. And then I'm using the cognitive service. You would have seen that we are taking an image of from the video, and then we are sending that image to the particular service. Cognitive service is something that you can use. I heard Nepal is one of the Imagine Cup winners before 2 years. So I would like to see the innovation coming forward in the coming years. Start using, that is one of the AI capabilities that we have in Azure. So make use of that, and you can build so many creative applications based on that. And the final thing that I talked about is Azure DevOps. So the code that I showed, the application that I showed, make use of these 3 things. So you can access the code and you can enable that game, or you can, if you want to publish as a game, you can do that. So that is just a starting point. So step 1, I will show how I have built this application. So I will navigate to Azure DevOps. If you have not seen it, how many of you have seen it, Azure DevOps? Very nice. So even if you don't have an Azure account, you can try with GitUp. You don't need any credits. So you can just log in using a GitUp account, which was announced very recently. So it's dev.azure.com. So I have a project created. This is the project ngNepal. And if you, the good thing about Azure DevOps when comparing to other cloud providers is that you have everything integrated. You can collaborate with your team members. You can write your test plans. You can create your build test pipelines. You can create different environments and deploy different versions and so on. These features make Azure DevOps unique from the rest of the cloud providers. So if you are not using, start using it. Let me directly dive into the code. So this is the code that I have used, right? I hope you can see, otherwise I will zoom it. Control plus, it's not working. So I am not going to explain the code in detail, but there are 3 services that I have used. One is Phaser 3D, which you can use to create scenes, the scenes that I showed you. So I had image and then emojis falling. So you can create those scenes using the Phaser 3, that is phaser3.io. You can make use of the library with Angular. And then this is the part that I explained, calling the cognitive services. So we have an endpoint and the API key, and it's just a REST API call, which you will. So I have 5 more minutes. I will quickly run through the demo. So this part you need to understand. We are passing the API key and then building it. So once the application is run, I am doing a npm start. You can see the application is running. If I go to the so that's the application that you saw, right? So if I go to the build pipeline, I will show how I have built the pipeline. So I will access this project ngNepal, and then this is the pipeline that I have built. So it includes just 5 basic steps. First, we are installing the Angular CLI, which is necessary. And then secondly, we are installing the dependencies. Third, we are doing building the application using the ng-build prod. And fourth step, we are publishing the build files to the cloud through the artifact. And then we are deploying to app service. And if you are including any test that you can add through the test task that is available in Azure DevOps. So these are the basic 5 steps that you will include in your pipeline. If you want to see the task, you can always click this plus sign and search for whatever the task. If you are running Java application, you can search for that. If you are running .NET, you have .NET task. And if you want to send some notifications to Slack or the communications that you are using, make use of those agent jobs that are available. So this is a simple pipeline that I showed. Since I am running out of time, I will quickly jump into the slide. So you need to follow these steps. Go home and try each of these steps individually. You will be able to deploy your application to the cloud with a single click. Build the app, I have explained. And then if you want to run the test, you need to install the Karma unit, JUnit reporter. So that will publish this test. So when some developer commits a code to Azure DevOps, it will go through the test and it will publish the results. So if there is a manager or tech lead, he can go through all the tests, and if someone is making some mistakes, that will be reverted. So all this can be done through Azure DevOps. So that is what. So if you are successfully deployed to the cloud, that's the demo I wanted to show about. Try this at home. If you are facing any of the issues, talk to me. I am 24/7 available on Stack Overflow and Twitter, so you can always reach out to me. And these are some of the things to remember when you build Angular applications. Always use the prod, so you will see what are the errors that you are facing, and then use the build optimizer too, so it will make use of all the best practices when you're building the Angular applications. And if you want to analyze how fast is your application, you can make use of this source map. That is a command, install the source map. So if I want to demonstrate that, I will quickly show a command that I have already done. So you have to pass the ng, so sorry. I'm not able to zoom it, but that's fine, yeah. So I have run this command, source map explorer, and then you have to pass the main.js, that is bundle. So it will create a source map like this. So you can see the different files available, and you can click each of the file, and you can see how much time or the bundle size, the size of the file. So you can improve the coding and make it faster. So this is one of the best practices that you need to follow when you are deploying Angular applications. All right, I hope I have one more minute. So what we learned. So we have a desktop application, the application that you are building. You need to create a pull request whenever you are building a feature. It merges to the branch that you have, and then it will go through the test that you have created, and you will run the build. It will run the end-to-end test and the unit test. Did it work? If it doesn't work, make the changes, create a pull request, and follow the CICD pipeline. If it works, merge the pull request and run the build and deploy it to cloud. So that's how you will deploy the application to the cloud. Follow these practices if you are not following from today, right? I hope you got to learn something out of this session. And where to go from here? I would like to see everyone automating their source code. If you are a developer, you should see that as a first option. Start automating and then containerize your solution. I have not talked about containerization, but if you have so many applications bundled together, in this case it's just the Angular application, but if you have Node.js as a backend or .NET Core as a backend, containerize it, and then you can make use of Azure DevOps. Build apps with Azure. That is one of the cool things that I want to see from you guys, and send your queries to me. Be a part of NG Sri Lanka, that is happening in another 2 weeks. It's a free event that we are doing. It's for the community. I would like to see the organizers from Nepal, and if any students you can be a part of. And I would like to get the feedback. So you can give the feedback on this session through that URL. I would like to improve my future sessions based on that. That's all I have for today. And as a final thing, I would like to say, start learning and try to share with others. That is one of the important things that I expect from you guys. So build the community, and I would like to see more developers, innovations from Nepal. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Alok, and thank you.